Hello people, welcome back to the channel. I'm JustMoparJoe, and I've gotten several phone calls, text messages, emails, Facebook messages, Instagram messages wanting to know what happened at Nonamenationals 2023. So I titled this video the Sikeston screw job, and we're going to get to why that is here in just a minute. Before we do that, I'd like to say a special thank you to everybody that helped me out. Drew and Joe for coming along, being my pit crew, Leslie, Rodney Bird, J Ray Racing, Bad Tree Productions, J-Bo, Blake, Jeremy, Tybo, Terry, and I'm sure there's people I'm missing. But I had a mad thrash at the racetrack on Saturday. Before I get to that, let me tell you what happened Friday. So Friday, I get to the racetrack. We've already been teched in the day before. Everything's good to go. We all take our picture on the track. We get off the track, they clean it up. Get ready to make some time trials. Here are my time trials.
His way down track. How about a 6:54 for Joe?
I'm having traction issues, and that's with what's under the hood of this car. That's part of the Sikeston screw job. So if you'll remember last year, beginning of the year, it wasn't 3 or 4 days after the last no name, I got my first call out with Ray at Punisher Le Mans. So of course I wanted to accept that. He's got an LS powered Pontiac, which he promised he was swapping to an automatic transmission and drag slicks. So I'm assuming that the car would be down deep into the sixes, or at least mid sixes. And I knew at that point in time, I was just going to be running that 400 in this car, or 405 or 6, whatever you want to call it, with a little bit of nitrous. If you remember, that engine was a stock bottom end crank, stock length 440 source rods, hypereutatic pistons, and was about 10-to-1 compression with the Edelbrock heads. So it would handle some nitrous, but it did not need to handle the amount of nitrous that it would take for me to get this car down deep into the sixes like I needed to be. So I picked up the phone and talked to Brandon at 440 Source, and I told him this plan that I had about building a totally separate 400 block and turning it into a stroker engine. So every call out that I got this year was thinking this was going to show up with a 400 in it and not a 512. So I now have the stroker engine complete. It's in the car. That was within the last 6 to 8 weeks of building it, machining it, and installing it. So I've been hustling in the background in the midst of making all the other videos and working on other projects. 360 is ready to go on the Ram Charger, and it's coming along nicely. So part of the screw job is I show it with the faster car, forged internals, aluminum heads, head studs, main girdle. I got a full build series coming on this that shows a lot of the intricate details and machining that I did with Rick Seaman. Special thanks to Rick Seaman, obviously, for his help in that matter. But I had to get the engine completely done and back in the car and make it look just like the 400 before the event. That's where the hustle came in. So you'll see that in a separate video. What happened at No Name? So now you know, I pull up with a 512 in the car and I have traction issues every single pass. My best 60 foot was a 152. And if you look at the mile per hour on any of these tickets, it's well over 104. So I'm having issues hooking up. I cannot. We tried playing with the ladder bar some, raising and lowering the rear of the car, some of the shock settings, but I just didn't have enough time. The plan was to come out Saturday and work on that some more before the Outlaw 10.5 class. But for the bracket race, I only got to make 2 passes. Here's pass number 1 against Ricky at J Ray Racing.
Now looks like you're racing red lip.
Ricky, who was a little bit ambitious there, did end up red lighting. And that was fine for me. I spotted him plenty of time and I saw that he red lit. So I went ahead and took my time on that pass. I used it as a time trial. There was no way for me to lose unless I crossed center line. We come up for round number 2. This is where I lose the bracket race because of my 512 stroker. So, who gets screwed first during the Sikeston screw job? It's me. Let me show you that pass.
And the wind light goes to the left lane. Problems, and the wind light goes to the left lane.
As I zoom in on this, I want you to see the video. You can actually see the left rear of the car come off the ground. So before the 60 foot, my rear tires are spinning. And as soon as they spin and start getting out of the groove, the car wants to turn sideways hard. So I have to lift or I'll be upside down. The best I can tell with my suspension and these tires, which are Pro Bracket radials, I never had an issue really before I had any power or major power and torque. I had a lot of wheel speed and the car wanted to come on around and swap ends. That lost me the bracket race. And if you'll remember, there is a bounty, or was a bounty, on my head at the No Name Nationals. I just put my poster up that John Wilburn had made, and he actually had me sign a few of these, and he gave out to people. But Roland at Torque Racing Production did not have the Slant Daily sticker on his car anywhere. So although he won the round, which you saw why, he did not get to collect the bounty money. So Shane Polito, who raised most of the bounty money and was going to pay me a certain amount if I won the bracket race on top of any actual winnings that was there, he went around and found me a match race. He said, if I wanted to match race someone, I could win my own bounty money, but I would have to race them heads up, best 2 out of 3. And he had asked what my car ran that day. So I gave him my time. At that time, I think my best was a 6:53. I told him I've seen the car go 6:40 before, and that was with the other carburetor, but I cannot make the car hook up. He reaches out to Lee and Dean at NSB Custom Cars. So super great guys. They've got the Linko Dart, and they've been fighting some issues with it all day. They wanted to make a ladder bar change because they were also having traction issues. That seemed to kind of be a theme at certain parts of the event. They got the Linko Dart ready and made a pass. We decided, shook hands, we're going to race for the bounty money. So here goes pass number 1.
A third gear wheelie after a little bit of wheel spin down here at the starting line. Okay, here it is, first round of our match race madness. Best 2 out of 3 between Lee in the last start and JustMoparJoe in the fifth position. This is entry headset, best 2 out of 3 for $620. JustMoparJoe in the purple Plymouth, and Lee from NSB Custom Cars. This is a Pro Tree heads up. Away we go. First one to the finish line wins. We'll come back and do it again. Wait on.
Special thanks to Blake at Bad Tree Productions for sharing his footage with me and allowing me to borrow his in-car camera so we could see exactly how the race was happening. That round 1 was a great victory for me because I was able to tree him so hard on that Pro Tree. So let's see what round number 2 looked like. It was a lot closer.
by 7 thousandths of a second.
Round 2 goes by. He beats me by 7 thousandths of a second. So very close race. We flipped for lane choice because we both wanted the left-hand lane. That seemed to be the happier lane of that day. And I was a little bit nerve-wracked from earlier when I was in the right-hand lane and about turned sideways. But I went ahead. I wanted to compete. I got in the right-hand lane and we ran for the 3rd round.
This is for all the marbles, $620, folks. Get on your feet. This is it, the final in the match race. Each driver has a victory. That's 2 out of 3. And this is round number 3. JustMoparJoe over in the far lane. At the wheel of his big block-powered Barracuda.
By the end of the day, I lost the bracket race and I won the actual bounty that was put on my head. The majority of people seemed to be very happy and cheered for me. Super supportive people. The event is awesome. And I got to race a race car and just barely outrun it. So that was awesome. If you check out Saturday footage, Lee and Dean sped that car up quite a bit and they worked on the launch, worked on the races. Go check out their channel, NSB Custom Cars, if you have not. Special thanks to Blake again at Bad Tree Productions and all my pit crew and everyone who helped out. When it comes time for Saturday, I'll tell you that real quick. I ended up winning the Pit Thrash Award because I made one pass. I came back around and my car did not have a reverse.
All right, guys. All right, tell us what's going on.
What we have here is hopefully the solution to our problem.
Monkey bikes, monkey bikes.
Okay, so this is J-Bo.
All monkey bikes.
Cheetah manual reverse valve body. Okay,
so for round number 1 of elimination. Monkey bikes. Like 3 and 4 for elimination.
Today, maybe in the next. How many hours? 2 hours.
A few.
We got less than 2 hours and a lot of passes to make. So let's go. Ready? Break.
Man, that was a duel all the way down the track. We need Dallas Brown to the lanes. I understand the speakers don't work over there by Dallas, so if somebody would go over and tell her, hey, we need them to the lanes, I sure would appreciate it. Dallas Brown to the lanes. Those two separated by 400 at the finish line.
I don't normally get to be a pit reporter, but watching Joe thrash down here. Is the valve body a clock?
That's it. No more trans brakes. I wasn't using it anyway. It's just in the way.
Tell them what happened here.
I'm going to base this on crowd response.
I lost all the gear.
All right, we're going to have a little bit after he makes his pass. So if everybody can come up here with the stands, do the down some of the power over here where the control team is.
Cope said I won't have reverse, but we'll have 1, 2, 3.
And let us know if two years deserves
We just don't want your call out to hear
that
that.
$200 award.
What?
For the greatest.
Get the valve body slammed in the car, filled up with fluid. I have first, second, third gear on the jack stands. Still no reverse because I don't have a servo. and I go out to make a pass and try to race Brad at Poor Boys. That ended kind of poorly for me because they had to push me backwards into the burnout box. I get the tires wet, I shift from first to second gear when the tires are hot, and they basically quit spinning. So my weekend ended there. I was able to turn the car off, start it back, and it took first gear, and I went ahead and idled down the track. So I did make not a pass down the track, but I did make a lap down the track and did not have to get pushed back to my pits. I was able to get the car into the trailer, and I drove it to where it's sitting right now. So the big plan for next year is get that pulled and start on it. But I got lots of improvements to make, speed the car up a little bit more. But I'm very, very happy with my progress and what's happened over the last 6 to 8 weeks. I couldn't have done it without the help of a lot of great people, especially AED Performance Carburetors. They sent me a carburetor for the 512. And it was a promo for the Nonamenationals. So I've got a video coming out for it to show you the differences in that and my old carburetor, which was dyno proven. And also special thanks to Brandon at 440 Source with some help on my stroker kit and picking that stuff out. Randy Jr. at Harlan Sharp hooked me up with those rocker arms a while back, and I was able to transfer those over to this engine with the Edelbrock heads that was worked on by Ed's machine. So thanks to everybody involved in that. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch you next time. I don't think that's supposed to do that. That would probably cause some issues, wouldn't it? Mopar people.
Thank you to Lynn, thank you to Barkley, all the crew here
go, Joe.
We're going to Disneyland.